This is going to sound weird coming from a dating coach, but I need you to really think about the dating advice that you receive online, on social media, and in podcasts. And today we're going to talk about the wizard Liz and the whole situation with her husband cheating on her and what it is that so many women get wrong about dating advice. So, welcome to Christianish. This is the podcast for women who have Bibles but don't always have boundaries. My name is Keisha Rice. I'm a dating coach. I am a hypnotherapist. I help women learn how to heal from their unhealthy relationship patterns and attract healthy relationships. So, this whole thing with the Wizard Liz, if you are not familiar with her, she is a content creator, social media influencer. I think she's like mid 20s age wise. And she gives dating advice on, and I have to say, I don't follow her, but I have seen clips of her content on TikTok. So I believe she gives dating advice on like how to attract a man who takes care of you and provides for you. A lot of that hypergamy content that you see online nowadays. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. I do believe that women are supposed to be cherished. I do believe in finding someone who wants to take care of you and wants to treat you well. So I generally don't have a problem with hypergamy content. I do have a problem with how it often gets used, as in finding someone who is rich as the end all be all, which there are a lot of things wrong with that, but we will table that for another episode. My issues with how hypergamy content is used. What you need to know is that apparently the Wizard Liz was pregnant and recently found out that her husband cheated on her with some other woman and set up like a Snapchat account in order to communicate with this woman. And now there are people on TikTok online saying, I can't believe this. Even the Wizard Liz got cheated on. There's no hope for other women. How could this happen? Blah, blah, blah. And there are a few things that I really want to point out in this whole situation. Because if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you know that my favorite Bible verse says that God hasn't given us the spirit of fear, but of power and love and of a sound mind. My emphasis on of a sound mind. So, if you truly want to be in a happy, healthy relationship, you should not go around fearing being cheated on. In fact, you will just attract more of the loser types who cheat by walking around in that state all the time, right? But it is important that we use our head in a few things. So, one, again, I don't regularly follow the Wizard Liz, but when I saw this was happening, as in when I went on TikTok and suddenly my algorithm flooded me with stories about it, I did go and look at a couple of videos of her and I'm hoping this is her soon to be ex husband together. So, one of the impressions that I got immediately, and this is not trying to downplay anyone, right? But again, just being real here, one of the impressions that I got immediately was that this was a man who really just wanted to score a prize and frankly dated up a little bit, right? Dated someone who maybe when he was younger, people would have considered her to be out of his league. And the reason why I'm pointing this out is because you should never, ever, ever, I repeat, ever settle for a man that you think may not be worthy of you. Because I don't want to be harsh, but I feel like I often take a gentle tone in this podcast, and I think that sometimes I do you a disservice with that. So every once in a while, I need to get a little bit more harsh. Too often, women who are amazing women, who are great women, who have done so much work on themselves and who have so much to offer to another person, decide that they are impatient. And because they are impatient, they will settle for the first man that pays them attention. And in the process, they think they are attracting a man who is going to automatically worship the ground that they walk on. And instead, they attract a man who love bombs them, but then after a while starts to get complacent and feel like they've got you and now they don't have to do as much work. You cannot make a man be faithful who does not want to be faithful, who does not want to commit. There are truly men out here who want to be in faithful, committed relationships, who want to raise families, who want to have a partner for life. And then there are also insecure men who want to obtain a trophy. And they have low self-esteem, they are insecure, and they want to validate themselves by obtaining this trophy. And then again, once they get this trophy, they start to get fatigued of that trophy and they go out looking for another. Now, I'm not saying that these men are horrible people, because I understand that everyone has their own wounding and all of that. But the fact is that they have not done that healing. And if you want to be in a happy relationship, you cannot settle for someone who still has a lot of healing to do. You just can't. So I would say the first piece of advice I would give you is to get clear on what it is that you have to offer in a relationship. Get clear on the work that you've done on yourself, the inner work, the healing that you've done, and find someone who is at that level. Because if you do that, then you have someone where the two of you are going to grow together and build together, instead of someone who is going to put you on a pedestal that you can just as easily be knocked off of. Now, the second thing is stop expecting a man to give you everything. Because this is one of the issues that I have with not necessarily hypergamy content, but how people interpret it, right? So many women get caught up in this fantasy of they are going to meet the right man. He's going to come along, he's going to be perfect, and he's going to make everything in their life all right, right? He's going to pay bills so that they can get out of debt and so that they can buy the things that they want. He is going to be a best friend that they have hours and hours of conversation with. He is going to take care of all of their emotional needs, all of their financial needs, all of their spiritual needs, everything, right? And that is a lot of pressure to place on one other person. Like, you wouldn't want somebody to place that amount of pressure on you, so why would you do it to someone else? But also, you are setting yourself up for heartbreak. At the end of the day, no matter how much someone else loves you and cares about you, and this is not just romantic relationships, right? This is family, friends too. But no matter how much someone else loves you and cares about you, you're the only person who can take care of your heart. You know, the Bible talks about that. Above all else, guard your heart. Because people are human and humans make mistakes. So it is absolutely vital that before you get really serious about being in a serious relationship, you create a life that you love. and that you make sure that the person that you're bringing into your life adds to the already beautiful life that you've created. That you are never expecting someone else to be all of the things that you want in life. And the third and final thing that I hope that you take from the Wizard Liz's story is that we teach people how to treat us. And because of that, it is so important that we stand on business, right? So, back to my second point about how you have to already create a beautiful life for yourself and then find a partner who adds to it. When you are already in love with your life, and when again you are just desiring partnership and companionship, not needing it, that puts you in a much more powerful position because people come into your life, they see that, and most people will either decide that that's not that's intimidating for them, and they will just bow out, which is great if they see themselves out the door early. Or if they stay in your life, they stay in your life knowing that there's a certain standard that they're being held to. And that leads them to treat you better. Now, obviously, there are exceptions, just like in this case with the Wizard Liz and her husband cheating. But I want to point out that she has been posting on social media that she is leaving that relationship. So she is standing on what she has always taught, from what I've seen, about not tolerating foolishness and about if there is foolishness in a relationship, leaving. And your pride being important, your respect being important. So I think that that's a beautiful thing. I hate that this whole situation has happened to her. And I really didn't want to make it all about her. But she is a public figure. So I thought that this was a good opportunity to talk about these things. More women need to be prepared to walk. More women need to be prepared to leave. If you know how much you are truly worth, and you should know that you are priceless, that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. So if you know those things, then anything that's not in alignment with that knowledge needs to be out of your life. And any person who's not in alignment. Like, this doesn't mean that you should walk around thinking that you're perfect and the sun shines out of your rear end and all of that. But there is a certain level of confidence in knowing that, hey, God created me for a purpose. I am beautiful. And yes, while I make mistakes, I am always doing my best. My intentions are good. I really care for and take care of the people that I love. So I expect that same level of care and respect towards me. And I will ditch any relationship that does not align with that. And I know for me personally, I do mean any relationship. It's been one of the hardest things I had to do in my life was let go of certain family members, right? And cut off contact with them. To also cut off relationships with certain friends or romantic relationships that I had in the past. You know, I had one or two long-term relationships before my husband that I had to leave because they were no longer in alignment with what I wanted out of life and with how I felt I should be treated. These are not easy things to do, but they are important things to do. And when I look back over my life and I look at those decisions now, it is it wasn't an easy thing to do, but it's easy for me to say now that those were the best decisions I made. The best decisions I made was to not continue to surround myself with people who didn't have my best interest at heart, right? So we have to keep our standards high. We have to not settle for someone who hasn't done the same level of emotional work and inner work and healing that we've done. we have to create a beautiful life for ourselves and empower ourselves to do that, and then attract partners who add to that. And we also have to never be afraid to leave what doesn't serve us. Because again, being on the other side of that, I can tell you that while it may be hard in the moment, God has always replaced what left with situations, with relationships, with opportunities that were better than I could have asked for or thought of. So I hope that you find this helpful. And if so, tell me what your biggest takeaway is. If you are listening to this on YouTube, just hop in the comment section. Let me know what your takeaway is. If you are listening to the podcast on Spotify or Apple Music, then leave a review and let me know what your takeaway was. Or you can find me on social media. I am on Instagram, Blue Sky, TikTok, and YouTube, all at Keisha Rice, KESHIARICE. So I will talk to you very soon. Love you so much. Bye.
This podcast is brought to you by Contessa Digital.